Hello everyone, and thank you for watching my video. I am Tyree Rundish, the owner of the company Financially Sexy, and I am so excited to give you some tips on how to prepare yourself for home ownership. Now, first thing, I'm not going to talk about, the down payments, deposits. I'm really going to give you the tips that I've learned over the past 13 years on how to be successful in purchasing a home. So, for those of you all who may not know me, I purchased my first house when I was 24 years old, and I had no clue what I was doing. But what I did know is that if I was going to be giving my money away in the significant amount that was being requested for me to rent, I might as well own. So I was living in a set of apartments that got put up for converted into low income housing. And as I started to call around and look for an apartment, the rent that was affordable in the area that I wanted to live in was also low income housing. And then the area that wasn't low income housing in the same neighborhood, the rent was over $1,000 a month. Now, I'm not going to say that I couldn't afford $1,000 a month, but for me, I've always liked to live below my means and be able to afford my rent and my bills and save and do other things with my money besides paying rent. So at that point, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna buy a house. So I had no experience, no idea what I was doing, and I learned a lot of lessons from that first purchase. And even though I've successfully purchased 3 homes, there's always something new and a different lesson learned with each purchase, which I'm going to talk to you about today. So grab a pen and some paper as we go through this, and I'm going to really talk to you about the questions that you need to ask yourself if you're in the planning stages of buying a home, if you've been thinking about buying a home. So let's go ahead and get into this. All right. So first things first, when you're buying a home, consider how much space you're going to really need. I see a lot of people who are always so fascinated with getting big houses. And the number one thing that I always ask them, why do you want this 4, 5, 6 bedroom house with 3 or 4 bathrooms, 3 stories? Like, why do you want this big space? And sometimes people are so caught up on the size of the house. But my personal belief is, I do not believe that people end up defaulting on their mortgage because they cannot afford the mortgage. So to me, it's easy to pay the mortgage. It's easy for you to make those mortgage payments every month. But what a lot of people do not prepare themselves for, or they don't budget for, is the cost of everything else that comes along with owning a house. So houses need to be heated in the wintertime. They need to be cooled off in the summertime. They have to be maintained. You have to supply water to all the bathrooms, the kitchen, the laundry room. You have to water the lawn if you're going to be washing your car. So how much space do you really need? You have to consider the utility expenses that come along with maintaining your house. All right. So if you live up north where I am now, where it's cold 8 months out of the year, you're going to be paying excessive heating bills for 8 months out of the year. Whereas if you're down south and you're in warmer climate, your air is going to be on all the time. And the larger the house, the more it takes for you to heat and cool. So determine how much space that you're going to really need and be realistic when you make that goal. So you can budget your utilities into that expense. All right. You have to set your home buying expectations on your ability to be able to pay your bills, to save money, to set an emergency fund to pay for any maintenance costs. If something goes wrong and you're the homeowner, you have to be able to pay for that out of your own pocket. Even if you have a home warranty, if you do American Home Shield, you still have to be able to pay for that stuff out of your own pocket. One more thing, you have to furnish a big house. I've gone to people's houses and they still had empty rooms because they were not prepared for the expense to furnish every single bedroom. So definitely think about that. If you get a large house and you get the living room, the formal dining room, the 6 bedrooms, the huge kitchen, are you going to be able to furnish all of that stuff and still be able to pay your bills on time and then save and live the lifestyle that you want to live? And then the more people, you have living in your house, it's going to determine how much your expenses are. So if you have a lot of people in your house, your bills are going to go up. Your grocery bills are going to go up. So that's how you prepare yourself. Determine how much space you're going to need, and then you'll be able to know where to move forward. All right. How many children do you have? What age are your children? Is your family size going to reduce or is it going to grow? So if you're going to get a house that is big, are your children high school age? Are they getting ready to leave the house soon? Are they little children? How long are they going to be in the house? There's people who have really big houses that are just them two, the husband and wife, or just them as a single parent, who are trying to maintain the house. They really don't need it anymore because they bought the house based on their number of children, and the children were getting ready to leave the house soon, or they didn't buy enough space, and then as their family grew, the house was too tight for them to accommodate the family. So definitely determine how much space you're going to need based off of the ages of your children and how long they're going to be in the house in that area. All right. This is one of the most important factors into purchasing a house, in my personal opinion, and that's property taxes. You need to research and find out what the property tax in your area that you're planning on buying in, and then look at the trends. A lot of these counties are struggling to pay bills, and they're having a hard time managing their budget, and the people that they're putting that responsibility on, they're putting it on the backs of the property owners. So in 1 year, I know in the area that I have my investment property in, my taxes increased in 1 year by $2,000. So imagine that. Imagine your mortgage payment being $1,054, and then increasing to $1,324 in a matter of a year, all over $200 a month. That was a shocker to me. But like I said, the area that I'm in, they tried to say, oh, you're no longer in a new house. The house was only 2 years old, and this is the new property tax assessment. So you have to look at the trends of the property taxes in your area, because I can tell you one thing that I know for sure, that the amount of property taxes are not going down. They are increasing. And I don't know if there's any rules or caps, but you definitely need to look and see how much your property taxes are. I'm in Illinois right now currently, and they have some of the highest property taxes in the United States. And for my 3.5 bedroom, three bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house, I am paying almost $6,000 a year in taxes. So also, matter of fact, more than that, over $500 of my actual mortgage payment every single month goes to property taxes. So that's something that you have to consider. When you do your mortgage payment and you're looking at your principal and interest, you need to determine how much your taxes are going to be. Like I said, again, they're going to increase. They might increase just by a little, but they are increased. So they can increase dramatically, or not as much. But definitely consider the area that you are locating in. What do their taxes look like? What is their percentage? So sometimes the value of your house, the assessed value of your house won't be what your house is actually worth. Again, the most important thing, in my opinion, you need to look at when buying a house and determining where you're going to live is property taxes, because they will increase throughout your time as a homeowner. And if you pay that house off, you're still going to pay property taxes. And most of the time when you own your home outright, you don't pay your property taxes every month. They're due one time a year. You have to go down to the county tax office and pay those taxes once a year. All right. And then less is more sometimes when you're buying a house. I know a lot of times we want, a lot of space. However, the bigger your house is and the more land that you have, the more your property taxes is going to be, especially when you have lots of acres of land. So definitely determine how much land that you're going to need and how you're going to take care of that property tax bill. All right. Ensure that you have the money for your appraisal fee. So I'm talking about cash now that when you go into home ownership. I know a number of people who have been prepared to go into home ownership but did not know that they had to pay the appraisal fee out of their own pocket. And depending on where you are and the size of the unit, the fee for an appraisal could be anywhere between $250 to $600. So that's an expense that you need to budget for your appraisal fee and other fees that you may have to pay out of pocket. I know my bank charges a credit reporting fee depending on what kind of loan that you're going to get. So definitely think about saving your money up, just having cash on hand to pay for different fees and stuff that you're going to need based off of your house. And remember, so preparing yourself for home ownership. This is the point in time where you really need to be budgeting your money and keeping track of everything. This is not the time for you to be bouncing checks, having overdraft fees, opening a whole bunch of new credit lines, going out and buying a new car. You really need to be able to show that you have a handle on your spending, that you're going to be able to budget your money and afford to live in this house. So I've known people who have actually made it to the closing table and lost out on their opportunity to be a homeowner because it was discovered that something was late on their credit. They had overdraft fees on accounts and they went and opened up new credit lines. So if you're thinking about buying a home, I personally think that about 12 months to buying a home is when you should start budgeting and putting your money aside like you're going to be in that home. So if you plan on having your mortgage, you say, okay, I don't want my mortgage to be any more than this. You need to be prepared to start putting that money aside, plus the utilities. If you're going to have lawn maintenance, you're going to need a termite bond. If you're down south, you're going to need HOA, different stuff like that. And then HOA, I skipped over that one. HOA fees. Some communities have HOA fees that are paid monthly and paid one time a year. So that's a whole entire bill that does not get included in your mortgage. So depending on the area you're living in, your HOA fee could be a substantial amount every month. And if you cannot make that payment up to the HOA, the whoever manages that community, they have the right to put a lien on your house. I've known people who did not pay their HOA fees on time, and then when it came down to it, they ended up paying almost quadruple the amount to the homeowners association in attorney's fees, late fees, court fees, just to be able to get that lien off of their house. And the HOA, whoever runs that, they do have the right to foreclose on your home to get their money back. So I know that's kind of extreme. However, it does happen. So those are the things that you need to be taking in consideration. So let's get to some positive things. All right. So there are down payment assistance programs that are available. There are programs that will pay your closing costs. So depending on what area you're living in, you could qualify for some of those things. So definitely make sure that you're looking into those programs prior to buying a home, so you'll know how much money you're going to need to bring to the closing table and you're going to be required to pay out of pocket. So there are programs out there to help you with down payment assistance and to become homeowners at a very low cost. All right. When you're preparing to buy a house, what are your priorities? Everyone has a different set. So is your priority getting into a house that you can afford, or is your priorities looking good when you get into this house? So again, I've known people who have had their cars repossessed because as soon as they closed on the car, they went out and bought the matching BMW, Mercedes Benz to match the house, and then they didn't prepare for the additional expenses that they were are going to incur because they weren't in renting anymore. So they ended up getting in financial trouble. So definitely take that in consideration. What are your priorities? And then banks also look at your credit worthiness. So determine, are you going to have that new car, or are you going to have that new house? So sometimes people walk in the bank and they have all this excessive amount of debt on cars and stuff, luxury cars, and they're not even in a house yet. And the bank can say, I'm not sure where their priorities at. If it come down to it, are they going to pay their mortgage, or are they going to pay their car payment? So what are your priorities? Definitely write those down and set that up. How far are you willing to commute? Are you willing to commute a little bit further to save on taxes and also to get more for your money? The closer that you live to the city, normally the more expensive the houses are going to be and the less space that you're going to get. So you might have to commute a little further or all out relocate for you to be able to get what you can afford in a house and be able to live within your means. All right. So that's all I have. If you have any comments, you're welcome to email me at info@financially-sexy.com. I hope you learned some things. And as a bonus, I'm going to attach and provide you with terminology that you need to know going into home ownership. So when you get to the table and you're working with a realtor, they're not speaking a foreign language to you when they talk to you about certain things. And one more thing, I thought about something. Have money set aside for you to be able to afford a home inspection. Even if you're going into new construction, you want to have your money set aside for that early in the game. And depending on what area you're in, you could pay $400 for a home inspection. And my grandmother just got finished and my mother just got finished buying a house together, and they actually end up losing their money in a home inspection that they paid for out of their own pocket because the deal fell through. So you have to make sure that you do your research and that you have an understanding of what you're getting into when you're talking about being a home owner. So I'm so excited for you. If you're getting into being a homeowner, definitely take this stuff in consideration. And if you need financial assistance, if you want to get into my program, the Financial Fitness Program, please sign up. Let's schedule an appointment. Let's get everything taken care of. So you can sign up on my website at www.financiallysexy.com. I hope you learned something. Please provide me with feedback. And I think that if you're at this point where you're watching the video and you are engaging about being a homeowner and you take these tips and advice, then you'll be okay. So until next time, have a good evening. I'm Tyree Brundage, the owner of Financially Sexy, and I will see you on my next training.